Hey everybody, welcome into another installment of some mobility and opening. We're going to hit the hamstrings pretty good today, so we're going to start on this half split on the left side. So my left leg is out in front. I am sitting on my right foot tucked under. We're going to be in this position for a minute. Now my goal is to just let my head and torso kind of melt over that leg onto the thigh as I reach my hands forward, really targeting the left hamstring. And then once I'm here, I'm in a passive hold, just letting that head be heavy, passively reaching those hands forward, and trying to let that left hamstring open up. So I'm going to let you be here by yourself for the last 30 seconds, but I want you to inhale with a lot of air and exhale very, very slowly. Repeating that for the last 15 seconds here. So that about does it for our first minute. Now we're going to do a different variation of hitting this left hamstring. So come up to your right knee, put that left heel forward, and add a little bend to your left knee. So it's not extended, it's not locked out, it's a little bent. So you're really starting to feel the stretch in the middle of that hamstring. We're going to hold this for a minute. Again, as we let the torso and the head get heavy. So that left knee remains bent. Your toes are coming towards your nose to really engage that stretch as you use your hands on the floor just as a kickstand to brace, but more importantly, relax in this position. Do your best to be as heavy as you can with your torso and your head just sagging and melting over that left thigh, letting that left hamstring open up a little bit more. You have 20 seconds left. Don't forget to focus on that really slow, deep inhale and even slower exhale for these last 10 seconds. So we're going to slowly transition out of this, still focusing on the left leg. We're going to go into a pigeon position for the left. So you can see we kind of cross that shin over perpendicular to our body, but it's going to slide around. Everyone's hips and flexibility and tightness is a little bit different. So you can see there's two different variations between Mark and I as we hold this for 2 minutes. I'm using my hands to really keep my torso straight so I can engage that glute stretch. And I actually put a pad under my left glute because I'm a little tighter today. So I'm using that pad, or if you have a pillow, that'd be great, just so that you can have more of a foundation under you to help relax as your torso sags into this stretch, to let your hips really just relax and lean into the floor. Don't forget that back foot, the right foot, is tucked under, so if you had a shoe on, which we shouldn't, your shoelaces are down on the mat. With 1 more minute left, I want you to do your best to get to your elbows, or at least have your elbows on something like a stack of pillows to let your torso relax even more. Always thinking about having a heavy head as we focus on a really deep inhale, and again, even longer and slower exhale. Use those exhales as an avenue to relax into this stretch even more. You have about 30 seconds left to target that left glute, left hip. Using a long, slow breath to help deepen this opening position. Time is up for these 2 minutes on this left side. Now we're going to repeat that process entirely for our right. So going back to our first position where we're going to tuck that left foot under, sit on that left foot as the right leg goes straight. heel down, toes up. You can see I'm actually playing around with flexing and extending the foot, so pointing the toes and then bringing the toes back towards my nose. I just like this sensation. It kind of feels like I'm flossing the hamstring back and forth just to get a little more movement in there. But same as the left side, letting that torso and head be heavy, lean on the right thigh as you do your best to get the elbows or hands down to help relax your body as best as you can for these last 30 seconds. Using a really deep inhale and slower exhale. The exhales are your best friend to really relax that hamstring further. The more you can exhale out, the more space the diaphragm has to compress and fold over that right thigh. So as we're closing in on these last few seconds here, take your time coming out of it, where we transition to the higher variation, that hamstring split, where we are on our left knee, our right leg is still in front of us, but not completely locked out. Remember that right knee is bent ever so slightly so that the stretch and the opening suddenly shifts towards the middle of that right hamstring as we lean our torso and heavy head over to get our hands on the floor. Again, using a super long exhale to relax the torso and that hamstring even further. Play around with pointing your toes, flexing your toes, kind of like I'm doing. That's just a personal preference. If you just want to stay in this position without moving at all, go for it. Remember, this is entirely for you and your thumbprint. Everyone has a different roadmap for this. So what you're seeing in the video with Mark and I might not be the best position for you. If just staying in a regress version or the last version feels better, then do that. But that's about it for that minute as well. So we're going to get ready to transition to our last movement specifically for the right side, and that's right side pigeon. So I'm crossing that right foot over to my left pocket, trying to keep the shin in front of me. And as I lengthen that back leg, I turn the foot under, again, placing that pad under my right hip just because I'm a little extra tight. So for these 2 minutes, at first I'm having straight arms, and you can go right into having elbows on the floor like Mark, but I'm going straight arms just because I feel like I can get a deeper glute stretch to start. So I'm going to let you guys hang out here. Got another minute and a half left. Thinking about big exhales to get deeper into your right side pigeon for that glute, that hip. And you can see I just pointed forward. I'm trying to get my chest to go over that right leg. Trying to get the chest to go forward and then down to engage that glute stretch even more. So just wanted to touch on that, try out that thought process to see if that engages the stretch a little bit more for you. So now I'm going down to my elbows with a heavy head. I'm going to leave you guys here for a minute just to chill out, listen to the music, and melt into this right side pigeon. So time is up for that right side pigeon. Transition out nice and slow. We're going to go to our hands and knees, and we're going to sway into a down dog to keep that hamstring focus coming. A little extra into your lower back, pressing those hands evenly through the floor. Now this is a super subjective position. I like to kind of move my heels around, stretch one calf out, stretch the other out, alternating. I like to lean into my lower back, kind of pike my butt up as high as I can, trying to actually look at my belly button to really get a deep hamstring stretch as I do my best to keep my heels on the floor, and then I'll add in some mini calf raises just to stretch out the toes more. If you just want to hold down the down dog and just focus on your breath, then go for it. You have about 20 seconds left in this position before we get to our closing for today's mobility. All right, guys, walk out of that slow, and we're gonna do a flexed toe and sit position. So take a look at this zoomed in image of my foot where my toes are flat, and then I'm in a super challenged position on that foot. The arch and the toes are being stretched, and Mark and I are slowly sitting back onto our heels. I'm gonna put my hands on my thighs because it's a pretty intense sensation stretching all 10 toes like that with your body weight on top of it. Some of you might feel this in your heel, so please go slowly. You have 30 seconds left. Most of us really need this because the foot is the first point of contact with the ground. If we're an active person or not, any problem can usually stem from the foot that has anything to do with the knees, the hips, or your back. Stretch out all 10 toes here. You have 10 seconds left for today. You can start to walk forward like we are onto our hands to turn those toes back under and sit on our heels. Good job, guys. Another mobility opener down.